All right, so welcome back. This is 2 weeks later.
Welcome.
So we got our state rings today.
Yes.
Some of you who's listening may not actually, you can't see it, but the YouTube people can. Our marching band state champions have come in. Take a look at that. That's heavy.
That is heavy. That's fancy. That's like, wow.
They got it nice. Everything's engraved in. The trophy on the side. Don't steal it. It's mine.
That's fair.
The,
That's good. It's like,
The superintendent at the school said that nobody should get in any fights.
oh, for
'Cause
real?
this
He
thing
knocked someone out with that.
For real. I was like, it would be kind of fun though to like stamp somebody's face.
Oh, and they
like
got the M
yeah,
just
with
right
the M
there.
on it,
Yeah.
like a little miniature brand or something. That'd be kind of funny.
That's great. I love that.
The owl question
Oh yes.
from the other day that you asked me.
Yes.
So, I've started this today, and I think it's really funny.
Which are you gonna tell what the owl
Yes.
question is?
So the owl question that was posed to me and some friends over Fortnite was
Big Fortnite
if
people.
if you were just going about your normal day, how many owls does it take before you start to be concerned about the amount of owls that
Mhm.
you're seeing?
Mhm.
And I thought this was really funny, so I started asking people. And now I'm taking a survey about how
I'll
many
tell you.
people, what they think about the owls.
The important questions here.
So tell the people what you thought to this question.
Personally, I mean, I don't see them that often. Last one I saw was like a little over a month ago, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember like when or where I saw it, but I know I saw an owl recently. I just don't see them often, so I don't forget it. I would say probably like 4 or 5. I would start to question my reality, and yeah, I would start to question about 4 or 5.
Right. So
That's pretty.
my thought
And then
process.
I would see him and be like, well, also, if I saw him, like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? I want to know
Right.
that too. Anyways.
So my thought process. Let me lay it out for everybody here. One owl that's pretty cool.
That is.
That's an owl. You don't see those every day, so that's nice.
Woo.
2 owls. I'm like, hey, that's cool. That's
Another
2
owl.
owls in one day.
Yeah.
Wow. 3 owls is when I start to question things a little. Like, well, that's kind of a lot of owls.
Yeah.
That's a little odd.
It's
For
excessive.
real. But then you get to 4 owls, and to me, that's when I'm starting to like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
why is there so many owls around?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. So I posed this question and I explained everything exactly how I just explained it to people. I bring up your normal day, we're doing what you're doing, and this is the responses that I've gathered from this.
This is great.
So far, we have a pretty clear consensus of how many owls is too many. 4, 4, 2, 2.
Wow.
Yeah, both of those people said that they don't see owls ever, so 2 owls would be concerning for them, which is understandable. I get that. So 2 owls. The next one said 4, 3, 3, 4, 3, 2, and 8.
8. I thought I saw that over there. Wow. They see owls on the daily, I guess.
That's what my first thought was. But then after I explained it to them, because I said my thought process, they were like, oh, that makes sense. And they re-clarified that 4 owls would, in fact,
Oh, okay.
be
Okay.
concerning for them.
Yes.
But I thought it was funny that they said 8, because that was my
Initially.
reaction. I was like, hey, how many, what are you going to the zoo? Like, why you have so many owls?
Gosh dang it.
But that's been my, like, every
Yeah.
day at school I'm asking this question to people.
That's really.
And that's,
I like that.
like any good scientific study,
Oh, for
I have to
real.
keep surveying people.
Yeah, I know. If there's anyone out there you want to let us know,
Yeah,
your
please
answer.
comment
Just comment down below and let us know.
you're
curious.
too many owls, because this is for science,
Yes.
and I will post the poll later. Because I feel like we're getting a pretty clear average, like 3 to 4 owls.
I would.
is too
Yeah.
many,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is, I mean, that's
I would.
fair. That's expected.
You know, if I saw more than that, I'd be like, well, I'm about to die, so you know.
People kept asking, is this a Harry Potter joke? I was like, no, it's not. I'm like genuinely curious how many owls is too many. And they were like, okay.
the
They were-
stuff.
They were very confused. But
The stuff you talk about over Fortnite. That's where it is. I saw it on TikTok initially. Thought I'd ask these guys, and obviously it just carried on.
it did carry on.
It's nice.
But yeah, that's been the life. This is what I spent all night at the basketball game. I would just go up to random kids and be like, hey,
That's
how many owls is too many?
You should come up and record it. Like how many?
Yeah,
Like
for real. Give me your owl number. All right.
No.
To football.
Football.
Now that we've spent however many minutes talking about owls for however long. Anyway, to start all of this episode today of NCAA changes.
Oh yes.
We starting
You didn't see that
with NIL and what the changes have left college football. And one of the big things to talk about now with NIL is that Tennessee has sued the NCAA because from what I've gathered from Twitter and other places is that one of the reasons that they're suing them is their new quarterback, the 5-star, and I cannot pronounce his name, is Nico, and that's as far as I got. So I'm not going to try and mess that up. But their quarterback has been brought in on their private plane, apparently, on recruiting, which is not a big deal. I'm sure most college football teams do that. Mm-hmm. But the NCAA is now deciding that they want to crack down on NIL and is going into an investigation on Tennessee, to which now the state of Tennessee and the Commonwealth of Virginia has come back to sue the NCAA, saying that student athletes are entitled to the rules, and the clear and the rules are fair is what the NCAA is saying. But Tennessee came back and said college sports wouldn't exist without college athletes, and those students shouldn't be left behind while everybody else prospers. The NCAA's restraints on the prospective students' ability to meaningfully negotiate NIL deals violates federal antitrust laws, and only Congress has the power to impose such limits.
Wow.
Currently, the NCAA is prohibiting which prevents negotiations with collectives, which we know is happening everywhere. Mm-hmm. Unable to review NIL offers prior to making enrollment decisions, which clearly is happening everywhere. I mean, people
Absolutely.
are being tampered with on other teams. The portal is completely shambles. Mm-hmm. Kids. We just had the whole ordeal with Florida last year with their recruiting of a major 5-star because he was promised like $13 million from Florida collectives, and he signed. Yep. So it was before that, and he signed. They didn't get the money, and he got out of his NIL deal. The NCAA let him out because he was promised this much money and didn't get it, which is absolutely ridiculous that you're hammering Tennessee for it when Florida just had more done. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing that says they can't do is they cannot adequately consider the full scope of NIL-related services a school might offer upon enrollment. NIL is ridiculous improper use of what it's supposed to be.
It is.
Like, NIL is name, image, and likeness, which when I first think of name, image, and likeness, you should be thinking, well, okay, you want to make a commercial with Jackson Arnold, then Jackson Arnold gets paid for himself in a commercial. Yep. Their likeness in a video game. You sell their jerseys. You sell whatever that is of them. That is them getting the money. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't be getting paid money.
No, absolutely
to
not.
Just come to college.
Yeah.
Like
NIL.
Yeah.
I feel like you get a free tuition. And that's a big thing. It's expensive, and I feel like that should be enough, but it's not, obviously. And,
clearly.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, players should be paid. Yeah. It's the problem of how they're getting paid.
They should have some kind of cap limit. There should be a lot more regulation, something. I mean.
Which leads me to all of this, because in continuing of the whole Tennessee thing, suing the NCAA, all of this, apparently they have asked to a court judge to have a temporary block on their rules, so they would be, I guess, allowed to do this, and the judge denied that. So the NCAA is still investigating Tennessee. I haven't heard anything else about that.
It's the first I've heard of that. So
yeah, but it's really interesting to see how this goes, because NIL, what's eventually about to happen as we go into this next thing, which is the SEC and Big Ten have come out that they're going to make a deal. Or they're coming together as like basically an alliance, which is funny. But they're beginning together to form a joint advisory group with the goals of addressing the significant changes facing this college sports, which the changes facing college sports, NIL, the transfer portal, the 12-team playoff that's coming up.
Yep.
Like, the two biggest conferences have now joined together, and if you're the ACC and Big 12, it's kind of like you got to hop on board.
Yeah.
Really, if you're going to want to survive and be relevant, and join those two. Because if you don't, you're going to be left behind in what is going to be a mini NFL, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're going to make their own rules, and you want to be a part of those when you make those rules.
Yep.
My biggest thing with NIL is if you're going to pay the players, you got to have a cap limit.
Yeah.
Each player gets a certain amount of money, and that's it. Like, no player can get more than this amount or more than this amount. Or you put a set of rules, it can only be used for these instances.
Yes. I agree.
Otherwise, the collectives are going to do what they've been doing. And, hey, so-and-so at this team, you're a good player. How about you come join my team, and I'll give you this much money?
That's ridiculous.
Which is what we see on a daily basis.
Oh, absolutely. But it doesn't make it right.
It does not make it right. And that's what pissing people off, I think, most of the time.
I mean, it's just just turning into just like the NFL. It's running just like it. And you have guys, it's a whole other topic, but playing 5, 6, 7 years, and it's sometimes more. It's pretty much semi-professional football at this point.
Yep.
I don't like it. It's too much change. I don't like it.
As I was talking to somebody about the other day, is like amateurism in college athletics is what makes college athletics fun. Like that, the pageantry of it, the tradition, the amateurism is what makes college athletics the best sport out there, is because you don't know what you're going to get out there. And then when you have these things that's just completely ruining the sport, is not a fun time. But you have to get with the program and get with the times or be left behind.
Unfortunately, you just gotta go. We gotta do it like you said, and
you just go
I
with
hate
it.
Man.
Next thing up, the transfer portal. My biggest thing is the transfer portal opens up at a horrible time. You have people, like Texas players were transferring out before the semifinal game.
Yeah.
Why are you opening up the portal when you're making bowls even more irrelevant than they already are? Because you have players leaving, they're opting out. These players are not the teams that we're seeing, i.e. Florida State.
No, absolutely.
Against Georgia.
It's like, I mean,
it's not even remotely to the same team as we saw in the season.
I mean, they probably weren't going to win anyways, but they had no chance, obviously, after losing every single person, pretty much.
And I agree, 1,000%. They probably weren't going to win that game. But it would have definitely been a much closer game when you have their defense.
Yeah, for real.
Most of the defense opted out. Most of the offense opted out. And quite frankly, I don't blame them, but everything about the transfer portal, if you hold that off, at least some of those people would be back to play in that game.
You know it's bad, too, whenever the opposing team or Georgia, their head coach, he even acknowledged it after the game.
Exactly.
Like, these guys, they did not have a fair chance. I mean, this is ridiculous what NCAA what the transfer portal and all this is doing.
What they've allowed them to become.
It's ridiculous. So, and he acknowledges that there's a problem. There's a problem.
Very much so. And something has to be done, in which I think is ultimately happening because the SEC Big Ten Joint Committee feels an awful like in the 80s when Oklahoma and Georgia came together to sue the NCAA for their streaming rights, which has now led to schools having to distribute their own rights to the companies. Right now it's going to the conference, and the conference distributes to Fox, ESPN, etc.
Yep.
But now this feels an awful lot like that, where this is going to come together. Eventually what's going to happen is we're going to break away from the NCAA in college football, and you're going to have a Power 4 set up where those people play for a playoff. And what I'd ultimately like to see out of that, since we're going to a 12-team model, and 12 teams makes sense. You're going to have an actual playoff. You're going to have actual tie-ins and actual games where people can feel like they have a chance
Yeah,
to win a
and
title.
if you deserve to be in the playoffs, you're going to be there, just like Florida State.
Just like Florida
They've
State this
had an
year.
opportunity.
Georgia, you can't tell me that if Georgia goes into the playoff, that they don't have a chance to be a national champion.
For sure.
Like, those teams deserve to have a shot, and they're going to get that. You could see even like 10-2 teams who are really good have a chance to make their way into it. Like, one game can change anything. One call can change anything. So those teams that have a shot is a really big deal for that. And what I would really like to see out of all of this is that the Power Four and the Group of Five split apart. Because giving a Cinderella a seat at the table doesn't change the fact that team's not going to win. Like, college football is not college basketball. So when people compare our 12-team model now to like the 64 of March Madness, it's not the same.
No.
So you're not going to get a Loyola College who made it to the Final Four the year that they were in it. You're not going to get that in football. They're going to get their butt spanked by the number 5 seed, and then that seed's going to go on. It's just a win a game. It's literally Oregon Liberty this year. Like, obviously Liberty doesn't deserve to be there, but if you break away, let them play some games, and then they have their own 12-team playoff from the Group of 5 conferences. Then you can say, hey, the Power 5 has their conference. It's just like FCS. It's Division 1, Division 2, and then they have their playoffs. So why can't this be the same? Why can't the Group of 5 have their national championship, their playoff, and let the Power 4 do their playoff and crown their national champion, and everybody's happy? Because then those Liberties, UCF in 2017, Boise State 2009, TCU 2010, West Virginia 2007, something like that. Those schools can be a national champion and be happy that they got there because they had the chance to do that, which they don't have right now at the playoff as we speak. And that's kind of the biggest thing there is that I hope happens with all of this, breaking away from the NCAA. Have you noticed, or I don't know if you saw, but Chip Kelly has left UCLA's head coaching job and went to be Ohio State's offensive coordinator.
Really, I have not seen that actually.
That happened today. I just saw it on the news earlier. And I think it's interesting because Bill O'Brien, who was just hired like 2 weeks ago at Ohio State to be their offensive coordinator, took the head coaching job at Boston College.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Like, what's up with these coaches now who's taking a job and then 2 weeks later leaving? This is like the 4th coach that's happened to.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that.
The whole thing's in shambles from the players to the coaches, and
it makes you wonder, like, some of these coaches, do they want to be head coaches in a time where it's the Wild West in college football?
Yeah.
Like, if they're having to put up with the transfer portal and recruiting, like Gundy even talked about, are we recruiting our kids for us or for someone else?
Oh, for real? You're just developing just so they can go to somewhere else and use their talents elsewhere?
Exactly. So are these coaches saying, I don't want to develop talent for other people, so until we get it fixed, I don't want to be a head coach in college football?
That's fair.
I mean, do you blame them? Why would you want to develop other people's talent if they're not going to stay for your team?
Yeah.
Because unless you're like Alabama's, Ohio State, Michigan, USC's, Oklahoma's, etc. of the world, they don't have, like, those people can afford to buy players.
Yeah.
But other schools can't do that, and they can't sustain that.
No.
So if you're a coach for one of those programs, then why would you want to put up with all that?
That's fair.
Which brings us to the next point. UCLA and their players now have the option to enter the portal for 30 days.
Is it 30 days now?
It is
45 or something.
It's a 30-day window from the moment that their coach leaves, which
that's
a long time.
Yeah.
Which allows for tampering.
That is very true.
At the wazoo. If there's any decent players,
they're gonna get picked up.
They're gonna get picked up.
Yeah.
If there's any decent players, somebody's gonna give them a call and say, "Hey, we noticed your coach is gone. How would you like to make this much money here and come play for us?" Which is completely ridiculous.
It is.
Did you see? I don't know if you saw this, but the video from the Alabama offensive tackle who was taking a visit to Iowa after he was in the portal, and he was talking about um, how the Iowa coaches were just so kind to him while he was at Alabama. He's like, if I'd have a bad game, they'd hit me up and be like, we're really pushing for you and stuff like that. It's like, did you just admit to Iowa tampering right now? And then apparently, like, however long later, Iowa opened their self-imposed investigation for
that's
tampering. That's
wild.
absolutely wild. Like, what has college football gotten to the point where that's happening on a regular basis?
Yeah. That's a lot.
So that's basic crap that's happened. The portal needs fixed. One thing that I think you could use that with is, yes, you're allowed to transfer, but you can only transfer once freely.
Mm-hmm.
You can only go to one other school with having yourself the option to be able to play again.
Yeah.
Anytime you transfer elsewhere for more than once,
you can't play that year.
You can't.
You shouldn't.
Number one, you lose a year of eligibility, and it has to be for a select reason of family, whatever, this or that, this and that, and it's only like a set of rules. Is like, this is what you have to transfer for, and you have to show proof that this is why you're transferring.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, one, that slows down the tampering, because some of these people who's already transferred once or twice isn't going to be transferring again, and they're not going to call up a school after they've proven that they're a pretty good player and say, hey, come play for us.
Yeah.
That's going to slow all that down completely. Another thing is that these players who think that they can just hop around, like some of these people who have been playing for 7 years, and who's went from Georgia to whoever, and they're working their way down the list, or OU landed
that
Thompson
one guy
kid.
He's at Texas.
Yeah, he was at Texas. He went to Nebraska, and I think he made one more stop before coming to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Why are you making 3 transfers just to end up somewhere? Like,
yeah, that's ridiculous. It's just there's no loyalty today to the team.
There's not.
From that, or like if a coach leaves, I'm like, well, I'm not going to the school now. Like, you're not, not going for the coach, going for the school, and I hate it.
Yep. Well, somebody mentioned it earlier. I don't remember who said it, but they were talking about how in way back when players would, more so to the NFL regard of it, but like when a player was in there and they were getting traded or something, it's like if you were a Cowboys, you didn't want to go play for the 49ers because you hated the people on the 49ers team. Like, you don't want to be on their team because you hate them and their guts.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't see that today.
Nope.
People in college athletics, they'll, like the Florida running back, Etienne, he transferred to Georgia. It's like, you can't hate that person because they might be your teammate one day.
That is very true. That's very true.
So why hate people like that when when they literally could be on your team for the next 3 years? Mm-hmm. All of this to say is, what do you think that this all means going forward for college football?
I mean, I don't really know. I'm not very optimistic. I'm really sad to see all the values dawn away, because one thing I used to love about college football is that you play for the love of the sport, not for the love of money, and that's just all going out the window. Like I said before, it's turning into semi-professional sports, just like the NFL, and guys now, they're getting paid X amount of money, millions of dollars, and then men are finding ways to play for 6, 7, 8 years. It's just ridiculous, and it shouldn't happen. There's got to be so many more regulations going on, and things need to be looked at better. And we got to find a way to preserve what we once had. And I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm not excited to see the rabbit hole we're going to continue to go down into.
I have to ask, I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick, but why should we ask of these players to not chase money when conference realignment the past 2 years has been about money driven, why should we not hold coaches accountable when they want to go somewhere for more money or a better opportunity? Then why are we holding? Why are we expected to hold the kids?
Yeah.
Kids to that.
I mean, coming from like their point of view. I mean, I understand. I would want to take advantage of the opportunities that's given to me and make as much money as I can. It's easy to talk when we are just watchers of the game. We want our teams to do well, obviously, but other than that, I mean, it's not our futures, it's not our wallets. I understand, and I mean, I also get I mean, like I've said before, they get a free tuition, which is enough. But playing, like you said, devil's advocate, I mean, there is a lot of money. There's billions of dollars that's streamed into college football. Just like the Big 12 media rights deal, they've got theirs for $2.3 billion with ESPN until 2031. Big 10 has over $7 billion with other broadcasting companies, and SEC has $3 billion.
And the SEC, each team this year just got like $53 million.
Really?
Per school.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean,
and that's going to go up when OU Texas joins the league.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, there's obviously money, and just talking about even the coaches that are underperforming in their positions, like Jimbo Fisher from A&M, his buyout was $76 million. Tom Allen from Indiana, $15.5 million. And then, Zach Harnett, 4.5. There's so much money. Just here you go. We don't want you no more. Go. So, I understand. That's their job.
The best job out there is a fired college football coach.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So I can kind of see how you would want the players to get some of that money because they deserve it. At the end of the day, it's them. It's their talent and their skills. Obviously, coaching is relevant also, but I mean, they should be, I guess, compensated some other than just a free tuition, but it should definitely be capped and regulated. There should be, if they say they're going to get this amount of money from a program, they should get that money. I think that we should see exposure of like the contracts they're signing. Like they should know exactly what they're getting, and we should know. I don't know. It's a whole. It
shouldn't
mess.
be closed off of like you could get this or you could get that.
Yeah.
It's like you should have it written in. This is how much it is. And everyone should know what happens, and then they should know where that money's coming from and when they're supposed to get it.
They should get that.
They should.
It sucks. It's
as I've heard this argument a couple times, and that is players are going to college to get a degree to eventually earn money. So any money that they get should be developed towards that tuition.
That's very true.
So if I'm someone making NIL money or NIL rules, I would say it as this. All right, if I'm wanting a 5-star quarterback, right, and I'm the school, I'm going to say, all right, right now, if you come to our school, we can give you all of your tuition immediately paid for. And then I'm going to say, in your contract that you signed, that I signed, that we all agree to, is once you complete your first full year, that is every game through bowl game, you get your first check of set amount of money. Over your 4 years or however many years of college, you'll get a total sum amount of blank. First year, you get this one. Second year, you get this same. You get however much in the second year. Third year, you get another year. And you have to complete these set objectives. Blah, 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 and blah. As long as you complete the season all the way through the bowl game and play in the bowl game, you get this amount of much money.
Yeah.
And then it should be literally like a job contract where it's like, okay, you get this much money if you complete the season. You get benefits if you get injured. You get this set amount of money of that sum. And if you stay at our school for the 4 years, you get the full amount. If you, and then you have incentives. If you win a conference title, you get this. If you win an Addy, you get this. If you win the Heisman, you get this. If you win whatever position award that you're in, you get this amount of money. Then you lay it out like that. It's this. And then if you decide you want to transfer or whatever, you forfeit this percent of your check per that year, plus all of the rest of everything else you've earned.
That's how it should be.
Then that stops. Transferred. It fixes your portal. because most people aren't going to leave if they're guaranteed this much money and are getting it paid out, and then they leave and then they don't get that money. That stops that, and I feel like that is the best way for NIL. Plus, you get the cap, so it's like we can only pay you this much anyway. So you're going to get that paid out over you 4 to 5 years, plus incentives for said thing.
Yeah.
And then if you want a collective in there to pay for it, then you can get a collective and have that money come from that. But the collective isn't doing the dealing. You should have agents within the university that talk to those recruits that say, if you come in, this is what you get. It has nothing to do with recruits, has nothing to do with coaches. The coach can hand them a card that be like, here's what you talk to this person about the money, and then let us know. And that's what I feel like NIL should be.
It should be. I agree.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That is a
It's
lot.
a lot to talk about.
NIL, everything about college football, there's a frick ton.
There is.
But, last but not least, the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? 2024 is here, and the 12-team playoff is readily right around the corner.
I mean, I agree with it. I like it. Because just like this year, Florida State could have really used a 12-team playoff. Just teams like that, and they deserve to be there, and this will take that away. And with 12 teams, like, if you deserve to be in the playoffs, you'll be there. So I'm a fan of it.
I agree. I've been a big proponent of an 8-team playoff, personally. But 12 teams, I'm not bothered by, as long as you get 12 teams that actually deserve to be there. I don't want to see Liberty go.
Oh, yeah, Liberty. And they get stomped out by Oregon.
And then get the frick beat out of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good game.
No,
That's my first problem with the 12-team playoff, is I don't want group of 5 teams in there.
No.
Just give them their own and let them do their thing.
And they'll be happy if they win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you can have your own title. Do that, number one. Number two, the games should be played on college campuses. The current model for the 12-team playoff is first round on college campuses, which, in case you didn't know, which I assume if you're watching this you already know, but if you don't, the first top 4 conference champions, or the highest ranked 4 conference champions, get the first 4 seeds and first round bye, which to me defeats the purpose of being a 1 through 4 seed. Why doesn't the 1 through 4 seed get to host a playoff game? If I'm Oklahoma and I get a 1 through 4 seed, why should I be punished when I get to sit at home and watch whoever get a home playoff game, and then we got to go play in California against Oregon?
Yeah.
When that's basically a home game for them.
Yeah,
Home game.
I agree.
Like, I shouldn't have to drive to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl when Oregon has to drive a few hours and we have to fly out there. Like, that's not fair to Oklahoma. So, first of all, first point, split the G5. 2, make it to where the first 2, preferably 3, but first 2 rounds are in college campuses. So you get 5 through 12, they get to play, the high seeds get to play a home game. And then the next round, 1 through 4 gets to play at their home. And then, when you have the Final 4, play at both sides. Or, even better, play those at home games, and then have the national championship, which, this is what I agree with, the championship should always be hosted in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. That should be a locked-on site.
That's the home. That's where it belongs. I mean,
you can rotate semifinals if that's what you feel like doing. Rotate the semifinals, play the national championship at the Rose Bowl.
I like it.
And then everything else is at home games for the highest-ranked seed.
I like it. I do.
Excellent.
I agree. Very nice points.
They should put us head of college
He
football.
is never wrong.
Thank you.
So
Speaking of not being wrong, I was listening to the radio today, and we're going to close out with this.
Oh, yes.
Because I forgot earlier, but here we are.
I noticed that earlier. So
I
think he's a little salty.
This okay. I heard both of these, and it made me mad because I'm not even an Oklahoma State fan, but I want to chat about something. Number one, the FanDuel Sportsbook just posted the 2024 over/under win totals for all of the conferences, and number one, Oklahoma State's win total is at 7.5.
It's ridiculous. No.
And that is, wow. Pull up Oklahoma State's schedule right now.
I mean, I don't see us losing to anyone except Utah, personally.
Like, pull this up. They're over/under as of...
yeah, no, let's see.
Is it 7.5?
Yeah.
For 2024.
She knows about it.
We're getting this.
We're getting, I swear. So on for a second. Yeah, okay. Okay, listen. As a State fan, our track record is not the best. I was very worried after playing Central Arkansas. We won. We should have absolutely annihilated them. We're playing South Dakota State at home, first game. Back-to-back champions in
the
FCS there. So that's very worrisome. I'm not a fan. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, but okay. But I don't realistically think we should lose to them. I'm just being optimistic.
I mean,
we shouldn't.
If
anyways.
Mike Gundy is any sense to actually start one quarterback and to run
yeah,
on the Gordon,
no, okay. Like we
A-okay.
didn't start out well this year. We were rotating through 3 quarterbacks. We weren't utilizing our Heisman like he was for a little bit. He was kind of thought to be in the Heisman race. Still could be. He's only a junior. He's got time. Anyways, we weren't utilizing him like we should. But anyways, yeah. So we should get a dub first one. Second week we have Arkansas.
That could be a tough game.
We should
Arkansas. You should beat Arkansas.
We should
Arkansas
be.
Not a good team. That's 2-0 right there.
Tulsa.
3-0.
They're I'm not irrelevant. And then Utah.
Utah is worrisome because
that's going to be.
It's early.
Yes.
That's an early game.
Kansas State could be decent.
I'm thinking right now.
But we should beat them.
I don't think Kansas State's going to be good. They got Kansas State right now on FanDuel. 9.5 wins. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Kansas State lost their quarterback. They lost a ton of production. There's no way 9.5 is reasonable for them at all.
But we should still beat them.
That should be you right now at max. You are, or at worst, you are 4-1.
Yeah,
with a loss to Utah, which is possible because they got Cam
Rising. Yeah, whatever.
So that's 4 wins right there.
And West Virginia.
I mean, they're not bad this year, but you beat them this year. You should beat them this year. That's 5-1.
Yeah, and we got BYU.
6-1. BYU's not going to take a step forward. Baylor's bad. 7-1.
Yeah, they don't count.
There's 7 games right there.
Yeah,
Arizona State bad.
Texas
8-1.
Tech.
Texas Tech bad. 9-1.
And Colorado.
Colorado is also depending on.
I know they said they got all the spots they needed. I don't believe it.
It's going to be interesting to see what they are. The Big 12, I think they're going to be a little easier, but if that's a questionable game and that's the worst you got, then that's like. TCU is not going to be any good again. Well, unlikely. They went 5-7, went to a national championship, and then went 5-7 again. So I'm sure it's possible, I guess, that they could be good. But you should win at worst 9 games. You should really win 10.
We should
10 or 11 with that schedule. That's ridiculous.
And then we'll be December 7th. We'll be at the Big 12 championship
with probably
we're going to
Utah
punch our way into the playoff. But yeah, it should be us and Utah running it.
That should be easy.
I mean, we have just about we have everybody that was anything to us last season.
You brought that back.
We brought them back. We're hopefully settled on the quarterback. Yeah, I mean,
so you should be pretty good.
So we should be, and then Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, which there must have been a lot of bets come in because when I first heard this, the over/under was 6.5 wins, which is ridiculous.
I mean, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I like to give him a hard time.
Is absolutely ridiculous. It's currently right now, as I'm looking at it, is at 7.5. So that's why I say there must have been a bunch of over bets come in because that went up.
Still generous.
Which is ridiculous also still yet because our schedule, 24, we got Temple, 1-0. Houston, 2-0. At Tulane.
No, Oklahoma.
No, that's Tulane, 3-0. Tennessee. That should be 4-0. It's in Norman. Tennessee could be good offensively. It's going to be interesting to see. But at home, OU should beat Tennessee. At Auburn could be a little tricky because it's at Auburn. But Auburn was not good this year.
No, they weren't. Although they did almost upset Alabama, but then they lost to New Mexico.
Yeah, they did almost upset Alabama. They lost to New Mexico State or whoever it was.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, they got clapped in the bowl game, which, who did they play this year? I don't even remember. Last year.
Oh, shoot.
I want to say Iowa, but that's not true. That's not right. Who was it?
I don't know.
We'll come back to that. I don't know who it was. But that should be a winnable game for Oklahoma. It may be tough, but that's a winnable game, right?
And we got Texas.
That's five games.
And that's their first loss.
Texas could be lost.
It's going to be repeated.
Texas got talent coming back with Quinn Ewers and a couple other guys. I also looked on that. We are currently a 10-point underdog in that game.
Oh, you guys really?
Which I think is also a little surprising. I was thinking like 7.
Yeah.
3-7, but
I will say with Texas, I'm surprised like Arch Manning is not transferred yet.
Honestly,
because Quinn Ewers is going to be the starter again.
Well,
I can't believe like that. I mean, he wasn't. I know
great.
Quinn Ewers is good, but I mean Manning has not got any time to really.
No, but I saw something about where they asked his family about that, and they told the reporter or whoever it was that he needs time to sit and develop.
He's been sitting.
So I mean, I guess
whatever.
He ain't transferring, I guess, which
is
not fine for Texas. Whatever,
for sure. Yeah.
So there's one potential loss, and right now we are what 5-1,
something like that.
5-1. We need to get to 8 wins apparently. 5-1. South Carolina in Norman. That's a win. 6-1 at Ole Miss. That could be tough. That could be a tough loss if you count that. At Ole Miss. Ole Miss is stacked depending on how well Kiffin develops, which he's been pretty good at that.
Yeah.
That could be a loss. For the benefit of the doubt, or for the argument, we'll count that as a loss. We are at what? 6-2?
Yes.
Is that what we are?
No. 1. No. Oh well, I guess Ole Miss if you're
6-2.
Yeah.
At Maine.
About to be 6-2.
7-2.
No, I'm just kidding.
At Missouri.
I mean that's
Missouri's played the easiest SEC schedule last year. They won 10 games. They lost their 2 toughest games. Yet again, this year they have an easy SEC schedule, and they're going to lose 2 games again. It's going to be to Alabama, and it's going to be to Oklahoma. That's your 2 losses right there. They're going to go 10-2 with those 2 losses, and that puts us at what? That's 8-2.
Yes.
8-2.
Sure.
Yep. 8-2. Oklahoma against Alabama. Kalen DeBoer,
Roll Tide.
new head coach. That's going to be interesting. In Tuscaloosa, that could be a loss. I think in Norman, that's probably a win.
Ooh.
Right now, I think that's a win.
Okay.
That could change, but right now we're 9-2, and then at LSU, that's probably a loss. 9-3. with right now that we change by the second. So 9-3 at worst. That's still way over the total.
Yeah.
OU at worst should lose 3 games next year.
Yeah, I mean hopefully
if all goes to plan, that's really. I see a world where you win 10 games.
Yeah, no, I do.
It's very potential, very very likely.
I mean,
and you win 10 games with that schedule, you're probably in the playoff.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Look at Texas's. Their welcome to the SEC is pathetic. Is what that is.
One day we'll find.
If Texas doesn't win 10 games, I'm going to be disappointed. They got Boston College.
No.
Oh, that's track and field.
That's track and field.
You're giving me the wrong schedule here.
Just a second. Let me, Texas.
The more I drink this Dr. Pepper, the more it tastes like a Pepsi.
I feel that.
That's weird.
Alright, so.
Football. Colorado State.
Football.
That's easy.
Yes.
At Michigan, with the way Michigan is right now, that should be a close game, but they probably win that. UTSA. ULM. That's 4-0. Mississippi State. Sorry, Brandon Walker. 5-0. Oklahoma. We already said that one. That could be 6-0 right there. Georgia. That's probably their first loss. 6-1. At Vanderbilt.
Oh, Vandy's gonna upset.
What a game that's gonna be. 7-1 versus a bad Florida. 8-1. Arkansas. 9-1. Kentucky. 10-1. And at A&M. If Texas doesn't win 11 games next year, that's ridiculous.
No, yeah.
That's soft.
Yeah.
That's real soft.
They should.
I don't know who's making these schedules, but Texas must have bought somebody out.
Somebody.
Because that's pathetic.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's sad.
Yeah. No,
as my early prediction. With that crap, I'm thinking. I don't know. Texas could very well find themselves in an SEC title.
I bet probably will. I am looking for it.
It's gonna be Georgia against somebody, and it's not gonna be Alabama.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting to see.
It will be.
But that's my argument for this. If you are a bettor, because I know I'm about to go play some money on this, bet the over for OU 7.5, and bet the over for State 7.5.
Absolutely. That's be easy money.
Easy money.
Oh yeah.
7.5.
Yeah.
For State especially.
Yeah. No, it should be.
What's Utah?
I'm not a very good.
Utah's 9.5. I feel like that's pretty solid for them. Utah 9.5 is good.
When I bet, things don't work out when I bet.
Arizona, they got their quarterback. They got some skilled players coming back. They got 8.5. I feel like that's probably pretty good for them.
Yeah.
First year in the Big 12, I feel like that's gonna be pretty solid. Would not. I'd probably bet over. I'd have to look at their schedule though, but that's not a bad bet. Let's see, Texas regular season, 10.5. Yeah, that's about right. I'd say. For funsies, let's see. Alabama, where do they got them? First year, Kalen DeBoer, 9.5 wins. That's probably the lowest since honestly. 2007.
Oh, for real.
Georgia's at 10.5. LSU 9.5. I feel like people put more faith in Brian Kelly than there is. Is Jaden Daniels coming back for LSU?
I believe so.
Look that up and see. Because if he's coming back, then that makes a little bit more sense. Otherwise, I don't see it. But who knows? Let's see other fun facts. Where's the Big 12? The Pac-12 is That's wild.
Oh.
What is it? What did you find?
No, he is going to the NFL draft.
He's going.
Actually.
So yeah, LSU at 9.5 is.
Yeah, no, that's
ridiculous.
okay. I was wrong.
Let's see. USC 7.5. That checks out. I feel like they're probably going to do pretty bad, and that's not me just being biased either. Like the fact that they went 7-5 or 8-5 this year, something like that, and that didn't surprise me.
I love to see it.
Oregon 10.5. That's probably pretty good. I don't know who they got on their schedule though. Michigan, defending Nat champions, 9.5 wins. It's probably about. Yeah, that's probably about right. 9-3. Feel pretty good about them. Iowa, first year without their OC, which they hired somebody who was real weird too.
It's easy. They get an easy schedule.
For who?
Oregon.
Oregon's got an easy schedule.
I would think so.
Who they got then?
Hawaii.
10.5.
Idaho.
Oh, yeah, that's probably pretty good then.
Boise State. Oregon State. UCLA, Michigan State.
No,
and Ohio State.
Ohio State's the toughest one so far.
Yeah, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan.
And Michigan.
Oh yeah, they should be. And then Maryland. Yeah, no, Michigan.
What's Michigan's schedule looking like? Because right now, I'm not. I feel like Michigan right now. They lost their head coach. They lost a ton of coaches with him to the Chargers, and plus they're losing talent to the draft. Next year's probably not going to be a very good year for them.
There it is. Fresno State.
Okay.
Texas.
1-1.
Yeah. Arkansas State.
2-1.
USC.
3-1.
Minnesota.
4-1.
Washington.
4-2.
Illinois.
5-2.
Michigan State.
6-2.
Oregon.
6-3.
Indiana.
7-3.
Northwestern.
8-3.
The Ohio State.
I don't. What did I say? 8-3. I could see Michigan going 8-4.
I mean, they don't
Or
typically.
9-4.
They don't have a. You typically don't lose.
Ohio State with Will Howard. I don't know how I feel about that. That could be interesting. Will Howard just doesn't feel like a guy that would be at Ohio State. Like he came from Kansas State. He wasn't really great at Kansas State.
No.
So I don't know why Ohio State got him. Oregon though with Dylan Gabriel, I think is gonna be dangerous.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be real good up there. In the Big Ten with that schedule, they have a real push for the playoff.
Yeah. It's the chair, I swear.
ACC real quick. ACC real quick win totals. SNU first year in 7.5 wins, probably about right. I'd probably go under.
I would go under a little bit.
Yeah, under with that. Where the heck are they? Cal, which is still weird.
Yeah.
6.5. I feel like that's probably under.
That's
Personally.
ACC,
And then
they just need to make it the Coast Conference or something.
where?
Like you said before.
Yeah, the Coastal Conference. And then Stanford 3.5 wins. Oof.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Honestly,
Really
3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that. That's tough.
It is.
But I mean, Stanford's bad.
Oh, they are.
But I mean, the ACC is not very strong either.
No.
Maybe.
I mean, obviously they're not good enough to be in the playoff.
I mean, I guess if they can't win, yeah, apparently, I guess if they can't win the Pac-12, which the Pac-12 was the Pac-12 was deep this year. So, but I don't know. That's interesting. Let's see what the Heisman odds. Quinn Ewers at plus 750. Carson Beck, Georgia's quarterback, plus 750. Dylan Gabriel is at plus 1,000. Will Howard, Ohio State, plus 1,000. Jalen Milroe, and then Tennessee's quarterback Nico. I'm not going to pronounce that because I'm going to butcher it. National championship odds: Georgia plus 300, Ohio State plus 500, Texas plus 700, Oregon plus 1,000, Bama plus 1,200, and LSU plus 1,300. Losing Jane Daniels, LSU's not.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt for sure.
There's no way that's up there. They already got lines on games too. Interesting. Texas opens up as a 2.5 favorite against Michigan. Oregon's a 1.5 point favorite against Ohio State. See, there's the OU Texas. Texas is a 10.5 point favorite against OU. Georgia over Texas. Georgia's a 1.5 point favorite over Texas right now, and that's in Austin. LSU's favorited, and then Ohio State's by a touchdown, and I feel like that's probably about right.
I like it.
Interesting.
I could never bet on anything that early. I'd forget I bet on something.
Right, for real.
I'm worried my $100 go in my account. I don't know. Well, I guess you'd already
put the bets down.
And
yeah.
then you'd.
I feel like, win totals. I'm gonna go next paycheck. I'm betting that crap. If it's still that low, I'm putting $100 down. I'm gonna cash in on that crap.
Yeah, for sure.
That's ridiculous.
I support you.
Thank you. My gambling addiction.
That's right.
It's not an addiction for real. I promise. That was a joke for legal reasons. All right. Well, that closes and wraps up this episode of Athletically Speaking. Don't forget, follow us on TikTok, Twitter. Check out the website, which I have updated. It looks really cool.
It does.
And
don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Also, if you're listening to this Dave Portnoy, you should hire us before Wagon Wheel Sports takes over and just crumbles you.
I don't remember what day this is, but you will see it. You will see it. All right, that's Athletically Speaking.